12th of May, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashavua with Rashi, Emor.
Okay, 1 second. Okay,
Hello, Rabbi. How are you?
Baruch Hashem, very good. And yourself?
Baruch Hashem, very good.
Before I forget, Bezos Hashem, my daughter's getting married in 2 weeks.
Mazel tov.
I'm going to be sending you an email invitation, Bezos Hashem. That
They're coming fast and heavy for you these days.
what?
Simchas.
Baruch Hashem, Chesed Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
Okay.
Looking forward to it. That's great.
Right. Baruch Hashem, it's my third daughter's, married off 3 daughters in less than 2 years, Baruch Hashem.
Wow. Amazing.
That's amazing. Cheers, Baruch Hashem. Okay. Yeah, let's go.
Emor.
Amen. Well, my motto is the more the merrier.
I agree with you.
Yeah, thank you. May I was just telling Lou that we're making a chasna in 2 weeks.
Oh, Mazel Tov, B'soro Tova. Very nice.
Okay, so I'll be sending you an invitation by email. So there's that Hashem. Okay,
Okay.
let's go. Parsha's Emor. So what your Parsha, Mayor?
I think it's
Oh,
it's Meir's.
What about Kohen?
yeah, because he says talk to the Kohanim. Wow.
Okay, so we'll give you the honor.
Okay.
Right.
This is Chumash Emor. Okay. It says, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Emor el HaKohanim, B'nei Aharon, V'yamarta Alehem, L'nefesh lo yitama ba'amav. Okay, so Hashem said to Moshe, say to the Kohanim, the children of Aharon, and you will say to them, let's see, to a person, a nefesh, a soul, I guess.
Right.
You shall not become impure.
Right. Do not let yourselves become impure to a soul, but Amov among his people.
Uh-huh. Oh, among his people.
We'll see what Rashi's going to explain what that means.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, good.
Okay. Now, Rashi's going to dwell on the fact there's like the verb to speak, right? Say, Emor appears, how should we say, appears overabundantly in this pasuk 3 times.
Mhm.
Hashem said to Moshe, Emor el HaKohanim b'nei Aaron.
Okay, so
Say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, V'omarta alim, and you shall say to them. Well, it's like repetitive.
right. Okay.
So Rashi's going to explain from Chazal.
So it says, let's see, Emor v'amarta. So it starts with Emor, and then it is followed and you will say, this is lahaz here, gedolim, im
Al
haktanim.
Haktanim.
Oh, al hakatanim. Okay, so this is to lahaz here, not to warn.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, to warn the adults. Oh, with this
Not
small.
with, about the Katan. In other words, to
Oh,
warn
about.
the adults with regard to the children.
Ah, okay.
So what it means is as follows. See, Rashi's obviously working. Technically, it's repetitive. Say to the Kohen and the sons of Aaron, and you shall say to them. So if you're taking it as its plain meaning, it sounds necessarily repeating the same thing.
Right.
Rashi says, Elamai, this is what Chazal explain it. Say to the Kohen Bnei Aaron, what shall you say to them? You shall address the Kohanim and tell them, you Kohanim shall say to them. Well, who's you Kohanim? These are the adults. Who is them? The ones who are not covered by the adults. And who's that? That's the children.
The children.
In other words, V'omarta aleim is what the Kohanim are supposed to say to them, who are their children.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what he said. Say to the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, and what should you say to them? You Kohanim say to them, to your children, the nefesh lo yitamar b'amo. What comes out very interesting is that most mitzvahs, children under the age of 13, if they haven't reached the age of das, of mental maturity, let's put it best, that's the best way of putting it, okay? That's what das is, mental maturity. Then they are not obliged in the mitzvahs of their own. Not only that, even the adults are not necessarily obliged that the children should fulfill the mitzvahs. Every father has a mitzvah of chinuch, of educating his child. But according to many poskim, that's not a mitzvah d'oraisa, it's only a mitzvah d'rabbanan. I mean, it's derived from the pasuk in Mishlei, chanoich lenar al pi darko. Educate the child according to his way. But according to many poskim, since it's only a pasuk in Mishlei, it doesn't appear, the pasuk doesn't appear in the Torah, so therefore it's not a deraisa, it's not a Torah obligation to educate one's child.
Isn't there a statement in Shemos, and you will teach your children? You got
It's not a Shemos, Vishinantam levonecha. That refers to actually teaching them Torah, but not actually as far as performance of the mitzvahs.
Torah does not include the mitzvahs?
No, you see that they should have the knowledge of Torah, but not necessarily that they have to oblige to keep the mitzvahs. What I want to say, I wanted to add something over here. Yeah. However, here, with regard to Kohanim, Kohanim, the children of Kohanim, even though they're under bar mitzvah, nevertheless, the father has an obligation upon them that the children should not become Tomei. And hence, I don't know if you experienced this, Mayor, but I'm sure your children, you have a son, right? So I'm sure you speak about this, that if his wife gives birth, right, that the child should not, if it's a boy, right, he should get out of hospital ASAP. Because in case somebody dies in the hospital, which can happen any given moment, right, then it's a problem for Kohanim who are there in the hospital.
Right.
And a child Kohen is also, the father's obliged that the child should not become Tomei. So therefore, a child who's born in a hospital, a Kohen child who's born in a hospital, the father has to make sure that the child does not become Tomei to a dead person. And that applies even if he's under the same roof as a dead person. Because there's various things. If the doors are closed, I'm not going into the various complicated halachas involved, but certainly in many situations, the child will be in a situation where he will become Tomei as a result of somebody who has died in the hospital and they haven't got to the morgue yet. Once the person has passed away, the dead person has reached the morgue. Between the morgue and the rest of the hospital, they have special doors that are not open, like double doors that are never one. When one is open, the other one is closed.
Right,
This
right.
way, to make sure that the tumor doesn't go out from the morgue.
Uh-huh.
But as far as the rest of the hospital is concerned, I mean, people unfortunately die in all different departments. And there's a problem then if the doors are open then. Okay.
Right.
Therefore, if a Kohen child, boy, is born in a hospital, that only applies to males, not to females.
Mhm.
A Kohen baby boy is born in a hospital, the advice is to try to get the child out of the hospital as soon as possible.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Very good. Okay. So now it says, let's see, Bnei Aharon, the sons of Aaron, Yachol Chalalim. This is also,
I might think
I
this
guess,
includes
goes to
disqualified Kohen.
Chalalim. So,
Halalim, as we'll see in the Hemshech, Halal is a Kohen who is, even though he's technically from the descendants of Aaron, but he doesn't have a status of a Kohen because most simple example is he comes from a disqualified union. If his
okay.
father married a divorcee, then the child born from such a union is a halal, which means he's a profaned Kohen. He does not have the status of a Kohen. He's a profane Kohen, and therefore he doesn't have a Somela, he doesn't have the status of a Kohen, and therefore he's allowed to become Tomei.
Uh-huh.
That's what Rashi's medayek from over here. B'nei Aaron ha-Kohen, el ha-Kohenim b'nei Aaron. Only the Kohenim among the b'nei Aaron, not somebody who's just a mere descendant of Aaron is required to make sure he doesn't become Tomei. He's got to have the status of a Kohen.
The status of a Kohen. Okay.
Then the next Rashi over then says, B'nei Aaron.
Okay, so another B'nei Aaron. Okay. And it says, Af Ba'alei Mumin B'mashma. So what if they have a blemish?
B'mashma. Now, that what Rashi's referring to is that Kohanim, only Kohanim that do not have a blemish are able to do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash or in the Mishkan. So I might have thought that this halacha that they're not allowed to make themselves tamei is in order to make sure that they're always available to be able to do the avodah.
Right.
So a kohen who's a baal mum, who has a blemish, and anyway he can't do the avodah, so I might think he's not covered, he's not included in this prohibition of making himself tamei. So therefore the pasuk tells you, no, he's got to be, he's as long as he has a name of a kohen and he's b'nei Aaron. In other words, had the pasuk just said Emor kohanim without saying b'nei Aaron, I would have thought it applies only to kohanim who actually can serve in the Mishkan, who actually will be able to be serving kohanim. But since the pasuk adds la kohanim b'nei Aaron, so the mere fact that they're b'nei Aaron and they have in other words, they have the status of a kohen, even though they cannot actually physically act as kohanim because they have a blemish. Nevertheless, they are included in this law, in this prohibition that they're not allowed to make themselves tamei. Okay.
Right. Okay, so there's another B'nei Aharon, below Binot Aharon. Okay, so the sons, but not the daughters of Aaron. Okay, which I think you said before too.
Right.
Okay, and then lo yitama be'amav. Okay, so you shouldn't. They shouldn't get tuma from among the people.
No, so they shouldn't make themselves tome for a.
Tame.
Okay, so Rashi is going to explain for a corpse, for a dead person who is among his people. That's what Rashi says.
Okay.
Shahameis b'soich amo.
Okay, so let's see if the dead person, I guess, is within his people. Yatsa mate mitzvah. Uh, the mate mitzvah
This
is,
includes a mace mitzvah. I mean,
oh, it
sorry,
includes it.
excludes a mace mitzvah.
Oh, it
The people
excludes
as
the
far as,
mate.
yeah, excellent. What's a mace mitzvah? Somebody
That's-
who dies in the middle of nowhere or in a situation where there's nobody else to take care of his burial except this Kohen.
Uh-huh.
So if there's a situation, even though a Kohen is not normally allowed to make himself Tomei for any person, regular person, except, as we're going to see in the next pasuk, okay, that
Uh-huh.
for his close relatives, he is allowed to make himself Tomei, but anybody else, right, whether it be an uncle, cousin, grandchild, grandparent, or anything like that, Kohen is
Right.
not allowed to make himself Tomei. Well, there's one exception, that's implied by the word ba'amov. He mustn't make himself Tomei for a dead person, the nefesh, for a soul, ba'amov, as long as he is among his people. But if the corpse, if the dead person is not among his people, meaning there's nobody else to take care of his burial, then the Kohen, who happens to be the only person available then to take care of this person's burial, then the Kohen is allowed, not only allowed, but he must take care of this person's burial. So l'chas v'sholem, in a situation where the Kohen may be driving somewhere and he discovers a corpse somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and he knows it's a Jewish person, okay, then
Mhm.
he has to take care of the burial of this Jewish person.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what he can do is obviously he can call up the local Chebra Kadisha or whatever and get in contact with him, but he has to initially certainly make sure to take care of this dead person to make sure that he gets a proper Jewish burial. Okay?
Very good.
Okay, now let's go on to Pasuk base. Lou.
He im lish'ero karov elav le'imo ula aviv ve'liv no ula vito ula achiv. Except for the relative, for his relative, who is close to him,
Right?
to his mother.
Now, that's a comma. That's one person. And then in addition, now we're going to mention another 5 types of relatives.
Well, it says, and his father.
Right, to his mother and to his father and to his son and to his daughter and to his brother.
Right. So Rashi says, Ki im lish'ero, ein she'ero ella ishto. The only relative is his wife.
Right. His relative, what it means over here, Lish'ero, his relative is none other than his wife. Okay?
Okay. Wow. Okay. Let's see, where's Gimel? Okay, let's see. Ula ach,
Yeah.
ula
Vela
achoto.
achoiso.
Oh, vila achoto, aptula akrova, elav, asher lo haita leish la yitama. Okay, so if the let's see, the sister is a virgin who's close to him, I guess,
Right.
krova. Okay, who has not been with another man.
I know she hasn't. Right. And been.
In other
Yeah.
words, I guess so, not married or not had that,
Right.
didn't
They're
have
not. In other words, she
relations.
hasn't been nisua. She hasn't had relations with.
Okay, right. Um, he can
Does that
make
mean
he
relations or does that mean married?
So lemaisa, technically, it means actually marriage, because Rashi just says Asher lo ha'isa ish lemishko. Rashi's going to say it means referring to having relations. But I'll explain to you when we do the Rashi. I'll explain why Rashi has to say that.
uh-huh. Okay, so la to her, he can become impure. Tameh. Okay, so let's see Rashi. Rashi says, okay, Hakrova, who is close, Lerabot et Ha'arusa. So this is also someone who's an Arusa?
This includes a
Went through
woman who was a
Erusin.
Musa, meaning even though she's already betrothed to another man, okay, or right, she's betrothed to a man, to somebody to be married to him. Nevertheless, she's still considered close to her father. That if he's a Kohen, he's allowed to be mitama to her.
Oh, okay.
That's basically
Wow.
what they.
Uh-huh. Okay, and then Asher lo haita la'ish, who has not been, I guess, with a man. Lamishkav, those are relations, I guess, marital relations.
Marital relations. So let me
Okay.
explain what Rashi means. Normally, the term hoisa ish means to be married as that she now belongs to a man. So that would imply that if she loy hoisa ish means she has never been married to a man, which means that even if she's an arusa, even if she's already had kiddushin with another man, right, then she's no longer attached to her father, that he can be, if he's a Kohen, that he can become Tomei for her. Because it says, Asher lo hoisa ish, she was not married to a man. Hoisa being that she was not acquired by a man, which would imply that if she was acquired by a man, i.e. she was an arusa, then the father cannot make himself Tomei for her. But then Rashi says, the Pasuk says, Hakroiva. And Hakroiva, that comes to include a woman who, even though she was married to a man, right? But since it's only the first stage of marriage, arusa, not nesua, then the father can still become tomei. So if that's the case, asher lo hoisa leish must mean, not as it normally would mean that she's not been to a man, that means she's not owned by a man, i.e. that he's done a kiddushin with her, but it must mean she hasn't been with a man, which means he hasn't had marital relations with a man. And that marital relations refers to nisuin, even though Lamaisa Kiddushin can be done by an act of marital relations, by bia, that's the first mission in Kiddushin, and a woman can be means a man can have relations with a woman that the act of relations should be the act of acquisition. I call it act of acquisition. It's not really acquisition. The act of kiddushin, the act of designation of this woman for him as a wife. But in this particular case over here, when it says lemishkav, it means nisuin. In other words, basically the din comes out as follows: that a Kohen is, even though his daughter is an arusa, she's already been betrothed to somebody. I don't know if she's betrothed. Let's call it. She has already. Her husband has given her kiddushin. Nevertheless, their father can still become Tomei if Chas v'Shalom she dies. But if she's already Nesua, she's fully married to this man, then the father can no longer make himself Tomei for her. Okay? So that's why Rashi points out that that means in this particular case, Haisa being doesn't mean being acquired, but being means has been with this man for marital relations. Okay? Lo yitamah. So then one more Rashi.
Okay, so for her, he can't make himself impure. Okay.
He can.
Oh, he can. Oh, yeah.
And
And it's a
yitamah.
mitzvah. Yeah.
For her, he can. Well, technically, it would mean he can become Tomei. So Rashi's going to add in one word and tell you that doesn't mean just can, but it's a mitzvah. He must make himself Tomei. If Chas v'Sholem, this man's daughter dies and she's unmarried or she's only betrothed to a man, then the father can and must make himself Tomei to take care of her burial.
Good. Okay.
Okay.
Well.
Let's go on to Pasuk Dalet. Luke.
Lo yitama bal be'amav lehei chalo. He will not become tamei, the husband, with his people to defile him.
Right. Okay, now this actually, these words, there's 5 words in this pasuk, but to translate them the words literally, the pasuk has absolutely no meaning. I mean, it's like still as ambiguous as before. Literally what it means, the husband must not make himself Tomei, doesn't say for whom, but Amav, when he is in his people, among his people, Lehei Chaloi, to profane him.
If you think that made more sense, it didn't to me.
Right, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly the point I'm pointing out. To translate it literally, I just translated literally, and we're still none the wiser.
Right.
So we need the Rashi to give us a bit of understanding what's going on.
Okay, here comes Rashi. Lo yitama bal b'amav lehei chalo. Lo yitama, he shall not make himself impure. Leishto psula, for his wife who is unfitting. Shehu mechulal ba, that he is profaned with her, through her.
Right.
Be'oda imo.
Oda Shehi, I have it. Yeah, Boda Emor, correct.
That while she is with him.
Okay. So Rashi
Will
says,
not
what's
make
the meaning of
himself
the pasuk?
impure
So
for his
basically,
unfitting wife, through whom he is defiled while she is with him.
right. Okay, meaning Baal, meaning the Baal who's a Kohen, who's the husband. The husband must not make himself Tomei. Now, if we talk about a husband, obviously there's a wife. That's why Rashi gets it from, and Chazal get this from. I mean, a husband may not make himself Tomei, brackets, for his wife, right? And she's a disqualified wife. She's a psula, yeah.
Right.
And that's why, in what way? Shehu mechula ba. That's the translation of the word lehei chaloi. She causes him to become profane. When is that? Ba'oida imoy, while she's still with him. So Rashi's going to go ahead and explain now how it fits into the words of the pasuk.
V'chein pshuto shel mikra. According to the simple meaning of the verse.
And so no, this and indeed this is the simple meaning, the way of explaining the simple meaning of the verse to fit in with this explanation.
Lo yitama Baal, a husband shall not make himself impure, bish ero, with his wife,
Right.
through his wife, be'od shehi betoch amav, as long as she is among his people. That is, sheyesh la kovrin, that there are those who can bury her. She'ena meis mitzvah, that she is not a meis mitzvah. Uve eze she'er amarti, and of which wife have I said that the husband may not make himself impure?
Right.
Ba'oso shehi lehei chalo, the one who is to defile him. That is, lehis chalel hu mika hu naso, to make him defiled from being a Kohen.
Right. Well, that will defile him from his status of priesthood, of kahuna.
I'm lost.
Meaning, I'll paraphrase what Rashi said. The meaning of the pasuk is lo yitamo baal. A husband may not make himself tomei, and the word bish eroi, for his close relative, which we explain meaning his wife. He may not make himself tomei for his wife, and that's obviously ba'amov, when this she'er, this wife, is still among. They're using the masculine because we're referring to she'er, which means literally relative, but in actual fact is referring to the wife. So the husband may not make himself tomei for his wife as long as she is still among her people, meaning she hasn't got the status of a meis mitzvah.
Right.
Okay? But if she, so as long as she does not have the status of a meis mitzvah, the husband is not allowed to make himself tomei for his wife. Which kind of wife we're talking about? The pasuk previously said he can make himself tomei for his wife, right? But what are we talking about over here? The type of wife is lehei chaloi, that kind of wife which causes him to be profaned from the priesthood. i.e., a woman who he's forbidden to marry, and by being married to her, that profanes him from being part of the priesthood, i.e., divorcee, or
Mhm.
as we mentioned over here later on, in Pasuk Zayin, we're going to see. Isha zoino v'chalala lo yikachu, v'isha grusha me'isha lo yikachu. Those women whom is forbidden to marry, this particular Kohen is forbidden to marry, the marriage with such a woman profanes the husband from being a Kohen. So such a wife, which the Kohen has, that causes him to become profane from the Kahuna as long as he's married to her, for her, he's not allowed, if she dies, the husband, this Kohen husband, is not allowed to make himself Tomei for her. Okay? Yeah, I think we will adjourn over here. And where's Hashem pick up here again tomorrow, Pasuk Hey.
Hey,
Okay?
Very
Thank
good.
you,
Yeshua.
Rabbi.
Thank
You have a
you.
great day. Be well.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Okay.
Have a good day, Mayor.
Okay, you too, Lou. Be well.